I'm just going to wait for these guys to sync up for a second. So, hello, whoever joined from TikTok or Instagram. And I better hit record on Reaper before I forget. Check, check, check. Good, good, good. Yeah, looks like we're up, so. Welcome to Evidence-Based Audio Engineering and Education, number 137, and this one I'm calling the T-shirt myth. All right, so let me get to what we got. First of all, I know most of you guys don't care, but I kind of do. There's no Helix 3.2 firmware update yet, but a lot of positive talk from the Pod Go community. I've been watching, whatever new models that they get is probably what we're going to end up getting. I'm hoping that, of course, they fix the MIDI bug, the auto engage. I'm calling it a bug. I know there's some debate about that. It does look like the Pod Go update's going good, so hopefully that's coming on for us. Okay. Something crazy happened over at the True Believers forum, GS. Somebody posted a thing called a thread, Analog Gear Tests, Measurements, Analyzers, Plugin Doctor. Plugin Doctor is a tool. I think DDMF makes it. Let's see if I can find it. I have it here. I think we've talked about this several times on the program, actually, but it's pretty handy. It's a way to test frequency response, compression curves, things like that, distortion, noise on VST plugins without having to go out and back in, which is, again, routing that we talk about all the time on this show. But it's a really cool plugin. So this guy actually went and did some actual measurements, which we know from how many episodes of this show, people don't like evidence. They don't like when you actually measure things and you put their claims to the test. And especially not on this forum. You do hear talk from time to time. There's an ABX test, and there's a couple good spots. Vin Curliano's on there. But, in general, these are true believers on this forum. So, this guy, DM Paul 18, a lot of topics occurred about testing plugins, so I would like to share some similar tests of analog hardware to compare. Feel free to add your own. And he started putting his own, looks like a Golden Age project compressor. He ran it through there, talked about the signal path using Audient ID44. And then, of course, what do you expect you're going to hear? Somebody answers back, I don't know, outside of checking for the correct functioning of gear according to the specs or for troubleshooting, in my opinion, the significance of many measurements is rather modest, at least for most hobbyists. It's difficult to interpret and thus classify the measurement results to compare them and place them in the context of meaning. If you get the chance, measure the frequency response of a vintage tube LDC with cardioid characteristics off axis, then compare it to your modern SDC. I guarantee you'll feel immediately sick. Not that this is a useless thing, though. This is what we want to see. We want people to actually compare, especially if they're saying that this thing is so different than this other thing, and you can show that they're exactly the same thing. Now, SWS1, and I'm not sure if this is Standing Water Studios, and we haven't heard from, the Reaper SWS plugin extension thing. I'm not sure if that's who this is. He says, my interesting results from playing with Plugin Doctor. I originally started by analyzing a UAD Pultec plugin using Andrew Shep's mix bus setting. Low end set to 100 Hertz, boosted to just under 3, high end at 10K, boosted to between 3 and 4 with the broad curve. As Andrew described it himself, he said it was a smiley face. However, when you look at that in Plugin Doctor, it is not a smiley face. When those low and high and settings are used together, the result is completely flat up until the boost at 10K. The low-end boost by itself is half of a smiley face, and the high-end boost by itself is the other side of the mouth. But when done together, the curves intersect, and all that is left is the boost at 10K. Overall gain is up 1 or 2 dB, however. Not the smiley face I think he thought he was getting. I then tried to match it using my API 5500, and I could get very, very close, except for the overall gain increase by boosting 10 kilohertz by 2 decibels and 400 hertz shelf by 2 decibels on the API. If I wanted the smiley face that Andrew suggested he was aiming for, I boost 100 hertz or 200 hertz on the API. Since then, I was able to replicate Andrew's UAD Pultec setting by using a Pultec EQP 500X. The only difference was the boost knob was more sensitive on the hardware than it was in the plugin. Barely above 0 corresponds to 3 on the plugin. So this is kind of crazy. This guy's actually... I mean, this is what I want to hear. This is what we want to know, is what is really happening. And so this guy, decided to check if he really was getting what he thought he was getting from an EQ. And it'd be interesting to hear what Andrew Sheps has to say with this. It might turn out that he doesn't know this either, or maybe he's getting a different result. Maybe he has a different EQ or something. But it turned out that what these guys thought they were doing was really just nulling itself out, except for a little boost on the highs. And, you always wonder about that stuff. But is there some kind of phase weirdness going on as well, though? I don't know if you can... I'm still so confused by phase issues myself. I'm sorry about that, guys. I know we talk about it a lot, and practically we're able to get around it. I show you ways that we can deal with any kind of phase issues with microphones, anyways, that we really get concerned with. But the way it actually affects the sound and stuff, maybe that EQ is doing something that's not showing up as a frequency response, but more as a phase response. I wonder. We should go take a look at that. That's actually something we should figure out. But it's really neat that this guy said, I'm not just going to believe that these things are different magical devices. I'm going to actually run through some of my gear, test it out, and see if I can match it. And it's kind of Ethan Winery, huh? Anyway, I'd love to see people contributing to this. And I think the results we got for a couple shows, remember way back in the early days of this show, I know way back, it's like 2 years or whatever. I have a ton of these from testing a lot of converters and mic preamps and things. So hopefully you can get these to them. Okay, and then other thing here was it's from The Guardian. I know. But the title is "Streaming was supposed to stop piracy. Now it's easier than ever." And it looks like it's by some guy named Alex Hearn. So he says, with new streamers constantly launching and lockdowns changing watching patterns, film and TV piracy is mounting a comeback. Can anything be done? That's interesting that these things mounting a comeback was, did it ever really go away? I mean, what did that even mean? I'm in this internet culture, and I don't remember, I don't know what that this comeback could even refer to. I mean, it's funny. People don't pirate plugins the way they used to. They don't pirate a lot of software the way they do. The way video games, I guess maybe this is related to how video games are item malls now, pay to win, and they have the in-game purchases and stuff. So you don't actually have to sell the software. You're selling a subscription basically. And I guess, is that what you meant by comeback? Like when the subscription services went on, did people stop streaming? Because you can still see whatever on wherever, I'm sure. So yeah, if somebody wants to tell me, in fact, if you want to get on the chat, it's you can see it in the description if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. But it's a big important thing to us, because we were told the t-shirt myth, right? oh, don't worry about all your music getting stolen. You can't sell CDs anymore. Don't worry about, you'll make it up in T-shirt sales, which was never true, right? That's why the way the media described this, these are still open wounds, right? The media, TV, movies, and stuff, they were giving the music industry crap. They were treating us like we were these horrible people for, the whole Napster incident. Like, oh, it's so bad that you want artists to get paid. And then all of a sudden, the actors, when the internet got fast enough and you could actually very easily pirate movies and videos, and in fact, especially once it went so fast that you could watch these things in real time, all of a sudden, now you got the actors saying, oh, hey, we should be paid for our work and piracy's bad and stuff. But, most of news kind of stayed out of that until, it's nice to see now, especially after the whole learn to code thing. You see these newspapers, these print newspapers, they're like 4 or 5 of them folded into one because finally that piracy came for them. Now they were making fun of us this whole time. I think they were the ones from beginning to end until I don't even know if they're done making fun of us for it, but at least they get to feel it now. Anyway, so all that it's still like I say, it's still an open wound. So I'll just read some of this. In the 2000s, I arrived at university to vast libraries, thousands of strangers, and the richness of academic life, plus a gigabit broadband connection that would be used downloading pirated versions of every piece of entertainment ever made. In between essays, I watched classic movies, I listened to vast discographies, binged the entire run of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We are living in a golden age of streaming. Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime Video, and Apple TV Plus are pumping out award-winning shows. Britain's public service broadcasters have more box sets than you consume in a lifetime. Anime, BFI, Sky's History. Basically, we have all kinds of streaming stuff now. But as the new releases keep coming, the bills start growing. If your interests are decidedly mainstream, the basic tier is the largest paid for streaming service in the UK. The aforementioned US Giants plus US Sky Now will cost you about £40 a month. Drop any one of them and you will inevitably miss out on the pop culture craze of the month. No Now TV means no White Lotus, whatever. So it is no wonder that an increasing number of viewers are turning or returning to less legitimate services. In 2021, we were no longer reminded that we wouldn't steal a car on anti-piracy adverts, but piracy never went away, and now it's more appealing than ever. Now it's more appealing than ever? Oh. Piracy was meant to follow the path set by the music industry, where technological change initially enabled new forms of copyright infringement, then spurred rejuvenation, settling into a new equilibrium. Did we really want to talk to Spotify artists about whether they'd rather be selling CDs right now than the millionth of a penny they're getting off of Spotify? Sent 2 of a. I have no idea how to accept a request to be in a live video. How does that work? I'm scared to press that thing. Sorry. Anyway, let me go on with this. But yeah, hey, you guys. Napster and then peer-to-peer file sharing were the innovations that rocked music. Global recorded music sales peaked in 1999 at 25.2 billion, then bottomed out 14 years later at barely half that. Illegal downloading wasn't just cheaper than buying CDs, it was also more convenient than traipsing to the high street. But music streaming arriving with the launch of Spotify changed everything. Streaming meant instant access and a better user experience than piracy. Where legal downloads peaked at 27% of the industry's total revenue in 2014, last year streaming music made up 62% of music revenue, with 2020 seeing the highest earnings since 2003. What else are you doing besides streaming, I wonder? I mean, there's a couple things, but can't imagine it would be that much. Yeah, sorry, oh man, that's a bummer. I wanted to try that joining thing. Sorry about that. when they talk about streaming changed everything, remember, guys, I mean, I'm not the music business show at all, but yes, Spotify is making a pile. I heard that Spotify's made more in maybe 2015, 2016, something like that, than the entire music business put together made in 1999. I'm not sure if that's true. But just because Spotify is making a pile of money doesn't mean that piracy isn't hurting the bands. I mean, that's you can't get there from here. All right, you're gonna have to make that case. That's a much different one. So I guess it's more applicable to the film industry because now you're talking about very big money players, just like the people who get paid in Spotify. It's the very biggest. So let me go on with the article. The hope was that the film industry would repeat music's success in tackling piracy. Again, that success was good for some, really bad for the artists. The shift from VHS to DVDs to Blu-rays wasn't as phenomenally successful for film and television as the CD boom was for music. I can't believe we're even still talking about Blu-ray. Cinema and broadcast rights still made the lion's share of revenue, which is weird. Broadcast rights, when you're talking about traditional TV, that sounds kind of crazy to me still, But when download speeds increased, piracy became an even bigger problem. Yes. In any phase of technological development, you can see rapid changes in the illegal market, which are quicker than the changes in the legal market, says Kieran Sharp, chief executive of UK anti-piracy group FACT, of the You Wouldn't Steal a Car adverts. If you don't continually fight the pirates and those stealing your content, it's going to be a bit of a free-for-all. Video piracy, which had been a matter of low-level criminal gangs selling counterfeit DVDs on the street when Sharp joined FACT, boomed in the late 00s. Oh, God, but they still selling DVDs? I guess. Did I still have DVDs 20 years ago? I think I did. The legal market quickly responded. Former DVD subscription service Netflix began streaming in January 2007, while BBC's iPlayer launched by the end of the same year. It seemed the video industry would follow the music's path: disruption, response, equilibrium. But over the last decade, the differences between the two sectors have become clear, and the blame could lie with House of Cards. I have no idea what that... We could go to that if you want, but... I don't like how they're saying there's an equilibrium. Do we have an equilibrium? Like, it's not the equilibrium we want. We may have an equilibrium, but again, like, it's not what the majority of artists would be loving to see. But it does seem like we finally come to peace with some stuff. I mean, what else can we do? Anyway, they say... She says the piracy peak may have began in the pandemic. In 2020, there was this massive increase in piracy at the start of the pandemic where everyone suddenly found themselves working from home. That's unusual. We normally see big spikes up on things like 1st January holidays, but the average is smooth. The tale is less one of demand than of supply. For movies, piracy had typically been kept at bay while the film was in cinema, and viewers had to either pay or settle for a fuzzy version recorded on a hidden camera. But the pandemic broke that pattern. Films such as Black Widow, Godzilla vs. King Kong, and Wonder Woman 1984, released on streaming days after they hit the few cinemas left open, drove incredible traffic to piracy sites. You know, it's funny. You always wonder if the ad servers themselves, I mean, they know where their stuff is going. YouTube makes such a big deal about content and stuff. You would think that all these other companies that are making money off ads, and who knows if you're actually subsidiaries of Google ads themselves, which would be the ultimate hypocrisy. But you would think that they could say, hey, this illegal stuff's going through here, so we're going to take your stream, just like they do on YouTube. I don't see why they wouldn't do that with the ads. But anyway... if the pandemic and a fragmented market are driving people to piracy, it is less having an impact on what they're watching. The most popular pirated shows in the UK included a few that are available on free-to-air TV. Interesting. Anyway, so I wonder, is this article really telling us anything we didn't know? It's made some claims, but what I really wanted to talk, understand about when we're looking at this is, did it really go away and then come back? I think, I guess the subscription thing kind of went, but it's not really for what happened to us. What happened? We went to streaming. Spotify made a bunch of money, and the artists, for the most part, don't make jack, and they can't go out there and play. So there's no T-shirts to be sold. Anyway, so that's that. Finally, it's just short here. We're gonna have some bands playing tonight, and doing my regular live stream thing. But being outside, it's a little bit trickier. So I have to use a laptop so everything's going all over the place. We're using a remote software control thing as well. What I was wondering about is Restream. The REA stream, the Reaper plugin, or the Replugs plugin, not the web thing that I'm actually sending to you on. It looks like Restream can send over the network to... Because otherwise I have to run like headphone out of the XR18 through like two 50-foot cables back into my room, do all kinds of crazy stuff. But if I can just do Restream, that would be awesome. So if anybody knows how to use Restream, let me know, because I need to know that in the next couple hours, actually. So thank you. But I'll see you guys next week. And, okay.